Hey everyone, this is Eric, and I want to deal with President Carter's statement that Jesus didn't say anything about homosexuality. And I want to address it from 2 points. One, I want to address it from a point when the Pharisees and teachers of the law basically wanted to divide Jesus' followers by asking a question. One of them was, can you divorce your wife for any reason? And there were two schools of thought, rabbinical schools of thought, between two prominent rabbis at the time. One was the only reason you could dismiss your wife is if she's done something wrong and has been unfaithful. And the other one is basically she burns the toast. You could write her a certificate of divorce. So Jesus dealt with that question, and he went right back to the beginning. When Jesus had finished these words, this is, by the way, in Matthew 19, okay? When Jesus had finished these words, he departed from Galilee and came into the region of Judea beyond the Jordan. And large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to Jesus, testing him and asking him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all? And he answered and said, have you not read that he who created them in the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Of course, that's the important part right there. Pharisees go on to say, well, then why did Moses allow divorce? And Jesus said, well, Moses allowed that, gave you that because consideration, because he knew the hardness of your heart and you wouldn't adhere to that. But the important thing here is Jesus deals with God-sanctioned intimate relations. One man, one woman, for life. A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. Be joined to, as it says in the Amplified, be inseparably connected. One man, one woman for life. So Jesus in this passage, Jesus in this instance, dealt with sexual relationships that God sanctions and endorses. Right here. Here's the second point. Jesus didn't say anything about bestiality or incest either. So does that mean because Jesus was quiet on bestiality and incest, it's okay to do the Catherine the Great thing and present yourself to your horse? Does that mean that, hey, you think you find your sister attractive, go on a date with her? Or, hey, Aunt Susie's pretty hot? No. Just because Jesus may have been silent about something does not necessarily mean it's a ringing endorsement for you to engage in that behavior. There's plenty of other scripture that deal with it. Jesus knew that. It was already well established in Leviticus 18:22 about that. There was no confusion as it regarded homosexuality in Jewish society. He had no need to clarify that. It was already well established. However, what needed to be established was your standard of righteousness. And that's why he said, if you look at a woman with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery. If you're angry with your brother, you've committed murder. He needed to clarify and who our neighbor was in the case of the Good Samaritan. It's not the person who looks like you, sounds like you, thinks like you. It's a person who needs help. That's your neighbor. So there were things that need to be clarified. Bestiality, incest, and homosexuality were not three of those things. They were pretty well established, and Jesus didn't need to clarify it. Otherwise, he would have clarified it. So I hope that provides clarification. Thank you, guys, and I hope you have a good day.